Hello, hello, hello.
What up, though? What up, though?
Welcome, guys, to another episode of.
Blazing Soul Podcast.
Wait, what'd you say?
Blazing.
Oh, Blasian. Okay, Blasian Soul Podcast.
What did you think I said?
I thought you said, I don't know what you said.
See, you know what I'm saying? This one today. I don't know what's up with her, but just today, I don't know.
It's just today?
Yeah. Well, no, you always a little.
What?
Off
Okay, you better watch out. It's National Women's Month this month. You gotta behave. You have to.
Blazing Soul Podcast coming to you every Wednesday, here to discuss current events, trending topics, to shed light on the Black and Asian community, as well as highlight community leaders, role models, entrepreneurs, people out there that's making a difference.
Yes.
What's going on? There's nothing going on besides the war.
Crazy war.
It is crazy. I have to back away from social media. I'm in marketing, so
who are you yelling with now?
You know, I'm immersed in social media a lot, and
okay,
nothing. It's just it amazes me sometimes that we as adults can't discuss things as such.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? It always devolves into a name call or something degrading, and then as a man you retaliate to that.
As a man, this whole man and woman thing.
Okay, I won't even say as a man. I will say as someone who grew up as I grew up.
Okay.
You immediately feel the need to retaliate, and it's just social media, the internet, the whole nine should be a way for people from the other side of the world that you can talk to, or people in California, and to bounce ideas off each other.
Okay.
I understand your thought process, you understand mine, but it seems that that's never the case. So for everyone out there, every moment is a learning experience, is a time for teaching. So, listen to other people's opinions, gain facts when you can, give your opinion so that someone can understand where you are coming from, and that's what kind of makes us all evolve as far as what our conscience and thought process is. The war is still going on. It's horrible because, like I said, I don't feel that I am on the side of Russia. I don't actually feel I'm on the side of the U.S. I'm on the side of the civilians, the Ukrainian people who are dying. It seems to me that they're caught in the middle of a divorce.
Yes.
Mom and dad type of situation, and it's very depressing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's it just seems like there should be a better alternative. What Russia is doing is wrong, pure and simple. No other ways about it. The U.S. is culpable in this as well, and I won't go down that road because that would take a whole segment in itself. But there are things that we've done to initiate a response from Russia, but that was the wrong response from Russia, hands down. And Putin should be held accountable for that. But once again, not saying who's right or who's wrong. My thought process is with the Ukrainian people. They're suffering. Our prayers go out to them. If you can help them, please do. Because once again, they're kind of caught in the middle of this fight. And it's very sad that that's taking place.
Yeah.
What else is going on? I don't think anything else is just really front and center. Because that's such a big thing going on right now. I guess gas prices is another thing that is
gas
ridiculous.
Getting kind of crazy.
And I wish we could get somebody on here who knew the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how prices has risen so drastically when Russia only accounts for 3% of our need for oil. So is it, in stocks, it isn't what happens, it's what you think is going to happen. So something might not happen, but stock prices rise and fall on the assumption that it's going to happen or the fear that it's going to happen. So I don't know, is that the case with oil and gas? Is that the fear of what's to come is driving up prices? But only 3% will be affected when we stop getting Russian oil. So I don't see how prices are historically high. But that's my ignorance, which is why I said I wish I could talk to an oil and gas person. All I know is that it used to take $60 to fill up my tank, and it probably take about $80 now, 85 maybe. Yeah, that's discouraging as well. Um, Other than that, I don't think anything else is pressing right now, but I will give you guys insight to a quick situation that happened right before we came on. Okay, so Pawn is preparing everything.
Pawn? They don't know what pawn. They don't know what pawn is.
But that's your name.
Yeah, I know, but not people know Laura. They don't know what pawn is.
This is Nipple Pawn Robertson.
Yeah, so
okay?
he calls me pawn, by the way.
This is my wife, Nipple Pawn Robertson. Laura is the same thing as black people saying that's my government name. You know what I'm saying? So her name is Nipple Pawn. So anyway, Pawn is putting everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Right before the broadcast comes on, she does this.
What?
This is what you did to me. And I'm like, what? Am I not dressed right? What? And she's like, and I'm like, what? I don't understand. What's going on? And then right before we came on, she was like, I was trying to get a kiss, but to get you in. Men, what do we have to deal with on a daily basis? I didn't know what the hell she was straightening her neck for like that. It was to get a kiss. Why not just say, babe, give me a kiss? When I want a kiss from her, which is 3 or 4 times out of the day, I say, babe, give me a kiss. She didn't do that. She leaned over and stretched her neck so once again, what men go through. But
oh my goodness,
women
and men. Happy National Women's Day, ladies.
I digress.
Happy National Women's Day. But speaking of, this month being Women's Day and me being a woman, see guys, I'm talking about the hair loss, okay? Now I'm talking about hair loss, women stuff, right? So with guys, it's cool, right? They can just shave it all off and just wear their hair bald.
All guys can't rock this.
No. Some people don't have the head for it. You have a nice head for it.
Everybody can rock this.
Okay, but women, we can't just do that, right? And so lately, I have been, as well as many people that I have heard, have been losing their hair. And so I've been rocking these wigs. And so I don't wear them all the time because I know it's not good for you. But then when I have it off, I'm like, babe, I'm losing my hair. And he would be like, man, that's the last thing that I'm thinking of. I don't care. I just want your health.
Right. I love my wife regardless of the fact. Who cares? If she rock a Yankees baseball cap for the rest of our lives, so be it. But here's the question that
I commend you for that. And I love you for that because not all men are like that.
Here's my question from your statement that you just said.
Yeah.
You said, well, see, you can rock the bald head.
Yeah.
But see, women can't do that.
Some are beautiful with bald head. The
question I ask is, why can't y'all do that?
Some women don't have. Now, I couldn't. I'm speaking for myself. I couldn't.
Why not?
Because my head is big.
So is the reason why you couldn't rock a bald head?
No,
wait a minute.
That's not why.
Is it internal or external? Which means, is it that you wouldn't feel right, or you fear what people would say?
I don't care about what people say. I don't like myself. I don't like myself with bald head.
I truly.
That would be horrific. I even did one of those character changes to see what I would look bald.
Once again,
it's ugly.
I 100%.
I'll show you.
Do not believe.
I'll show you what I will look like bald.
That. I'm just saying. I 100% do not believe that she would not care what other people say. I know my wife. My wife inherently. She might say that, but then she'll go around for the next 4 days and she'll just talk at me like, and I can't believe they was looking at my head. Why would they look at my head? They ugly anyway. Why? And then she would stop.
I would never say someone's ugly anyways.
Or you would say they ain't messing with me, or I'm whatever the case. Then she would stop.
Oh,
then a couple hours later, she come back, and do you know she had the nerve to say such and such and such and such? I don't believe her. And she'll go away. And then right before she go to bed, she'd be like, I'm just done with them. And I ain't gonna, so it would be a progression with my life, okay? But I
Oh,
digress.
because you know me so well.
I digress.
So, speaking of women and speaking of National Women's Month, in staying consistent with that, we do have a special guest speaker who will be coming on here to share her special story of overcoming a recent miscarriage. And she's going to walk us through, and she has turned her trauma into triumph for women. She's now advocating for rights of women. We welcome May Alirad to the rescue.
Hello.
Welcome
Laura.
back.
Hello.
Did we totally screw that up?
A
Say
little.
her last name. No.
It's okay. It's okay. Yes, it's the
Sang
same pursuit.
Prasad. Can you
Yes,
say that? Sang Prasad.
same percent. Yes,
You
and
can't say it. Sang Prasad. Come on, babe. You could say it. You've been with me over half your life.
What's going on, man?
Welcome back to the show.
yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Laura, for having me on.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt, we've missed you.
Yes, definitely. So, share with us a little bit about, what you have shared, what you went through, the trauma, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So we're gonna start off at my first doctor's appointment. So this is very recent, like literally last month. So we had our 8 month, 8 weeks, excuse me. We had our 8 week doctor's appointment, which is the first doctor's appointment, prenatal checkup. And so we went in, I brought my little Eden bug. She brought her Elsa doll. My husband was there. We were just so happy. It was just all smiles, and we went into the office, and I was anticipating on getting my sonogram, the ultrasound picture, all of us, and seeing, if we could hear the baby's heartbeat. And so we went in there, I got undressed from the bottom down, and she's taking pictures, on the ultrasound machine. And then she looks over and she asks me, when was the first day of your last period?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Friday, December 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, why is the baby measuring too big? Like, I'm not an ultrasound tech. I don't know.
Sure.
And she's like, no, the baby is actually measuring smaller than what we would be expecting at this time. The baby's supposed to be measuring, at 8 weeks. And the baby's only measuring at 6 weeks and 4 days. And then she does the vaginal ultrasound, and it's showing up the same thing. And we're in the room, and there's silence. You're supposed to be hearing the heartbeat, something. I'm like, something is not right.
Sure.
And then so she says, the doctor's going to talk to you. But from her voice, clearly something is wrong.
Right.
And it was just, I think, just the hardest thing that we had to hear, especially me. But, with my background, with my spiritual background, my faith, I just was speaking life like, no, this can't be true. And it wasn't denial, but it was like, God can raise the dead, right? So I'm like speaking life to the baby, speaking life like, no, you will live and not die, like all these scriptural verses that I have. And so then we go into the room waiting for the doctor, and it's just silence in that room. Like, there are no words. Like, I didn't even know like what to say or what to do. We're like, we're just going to wait until, the doctor comes in. So then she comes in finally, And she says the same thing that the ultrasound tech is saying. And then she says, it's either one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking that, first of all, there's no heartbeat. This was the first I'm hearing it. The ultrasound tech, I guess, didn't have the heart to even say it.
Right.
Like, there's no heartbeat. And the baby is measuring smaller than we're thinking. Most likely, you've miscarried.
Wow.
And so I'm like sitting there still like in shock
Mm.
and disbelief, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I run to the bathroom and I'm like grasping my belly, like, no, you will live and not die. You will, crying, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's like, well, then I go and get blood work, right? So she's at the, I guess, in the meeting, she's like, I want you to get blood work today on Friday, February 11th. And then I want you to come back and get blood work on Monday. And then I'll meet again with you on Tuesday. She's like, whatever your HCG level is, that's the hormone that tells you that you're pregnant. She's like, whatever that is today, it doesn't matter. What matters is what it is on Monday. So she's like, the number's supposed to be going up. So
Okay.
I come back, I get blood work on Friday, then I come back on Monday, I meet with her on Tuesday. And on Friday, like, I thought that was the worst news of my life, right? To hear that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday, the news got worse. I'm like, how can the worst news of my life get worse? She said that my number on Friday was 32,000,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and my number on Monday had already dropped 5,000.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I mean, and you know what? Then I was just like really speechless. We were there. We're like, okay, just going through the motions. Like, okay, what do we do next? Like, what are the options next? They're like, she's like, well, you can just let it happen naturally. Like the baby will come out of you naturally. Because whatever is in has to come out.
Mm-hmm.
B, we can give you something to put up your vagina and make it come out faster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then C, it's basically, I think it's called a DNC. It's like
Mm-hmm.
basically they go in and they take
Right.
the content out, right?
Mhm.
Right.
And so we're like, well, you know, we're gonna just go with option A. Like, whatever, we're gonna just wait normally, naturally, and see what happens.
Sure.
And so this was Tuesday, and I myself, along with my family members, friends, we're still praying that the baby is okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the second ultrasound, we're like, okay, the baby's gonna live. We're still like believing, speaking faith, that the baby's gonna be okay. And then it was at my third visit, on the best day of everyone's life, to
Mm-hmm.
22, the twosies.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was celebrating. Yeah. And like being twins and everything, the best day of everyone's life, was my
Mm-hmm.
third doctor's appointment. And that was when she had told me the number went down 9,000
Mm.
Wow.
kgs.
Mm.
And that was the day on my third doctor's appointment that I finally accepted that the baby had gone to heaven. Even before that, I was praying with my family, and um, I I heard, like I audibly heard the Holy Spirit say, "The baby is in heaven." I cried. I cried my eyes out, just like you and I are talking, and I can hear you this clearly. I heard it like that, but I still couldn't accept it until that third appointment when she said, the number had went down now 9,000 points. So first 5,000 to 9,000,
Mm-hmm.
and I accepted it. So that weekend, um, we were at church in a marriage conference, and my water broke
Oh, wow.
while at the conference at church.
Oh my goodness.
She didn't tell me that was going to happen. That
Yeah.
was a surprise. I had no idea. She had no idea, apparently. So
Yeah.
my water broke, and then I went to the bathroom,
Mm.
and a chunk of my placenta fell out of my body.
Hmm.
The baby's plus living stuff, placenta fell out of my body.
Mm.
And I reached into the toilet at church and picked it up. It was like kind of like a consistency of liver. That's why before when we talked, I was like, Laura, you're gonna need to put like a trigger warning because this is
Mhm.
like really real. Like people who have been through this is very triggering.
Yeah.
So I picked up my placenta, and it was like the consistency of liver,
Mm.
and I couldn't do anything but cry. And I was like, we're at church, like this is the best place. So then I flushed it down the toilet, the placenta. Um, and then so it started on Friday night where I started getting cramps, like cramping pains and stuff like that. And then it went on, carried on Saturday, and then I was still getting really deep cramps. I went over one of my friend's house to pick up the baby. They were babysitting the baby, and I was like, I had bled out through my clothes, my underwear, the pad. Now this is Sunday. I go to church. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be okay. I don't know what to expect, right? I'm like, the worst of it is over. This is in my mind, right? We're in Sunday, and I am bleeding out of my clothes again. I had to run to the Dollar General. Thank God my church is like, they own like the plaza. I ran to Dollar General, got like the huge granny panties, I mean, pads,
Mhm.
pants, and everything, like changed, got cleaned up. I mean, like, it, I was like bleeding everywhere. And then, like,
Mm.
went to sit in church service
Hmm.
and took IB 800 ibuprofen. Like one of my girlfriends had given it to me because she actually just had her baby some months ago. So I took the ibuprofen and went back to church. And then on Sunday evening, the baby's egg sac, the girth of a golf ball,
Mhm.
came out of my body. The velocity of a golf ball. I know I'm making Marcelo very nervous.
Hmm.
I'm making Marcelo anxious and nervous. I know it is. It is very it is very deep. So a golf ball size egg sac fell out of my body, and it shocked me so bad. I didn't even know like what was happening or what it was, it and then I flushed. I was like, am I supposed to pick this up and save
Mhm.
that plastic bag? Like, I was like, I didn't even know what to do.
Mm.
I flushed, the egg sacs down the toilet. I went to work the very next day.
Wow.
Everything that I just experienced, I went to work on Monday,
Hmm.
the 28th of February. I
Wow.
went to work Tuesday, February 1st. I sent an email to my manager and said, I'm going to be taking some days off for bereavement because I know that our policy has a bereavement policy that if parents have lost children, they can take some time off. And the
Sure.
policy is actually 10 days. So it's 5 days paid bereavement days. And then it's another 5 days where you can use your sick day. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Mhm.
So then I'm taking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I'll be back on Wednesday. So last Wednesday was when I was supposed to come back to work.
Hmm.
On Monday, my manager emails me and she says, I hope you're feeling better. I asked my higher ups, but we're not able to give you any bereavement days.
Oh.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Because they don't consider that a person, because it's a
Wow.
baby, because it's, they don't consider that as a live person,
Wow.
because you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There was no reasoning except the reasoning that Laura gave. There was no other reasoning. They
But
didn't
when you're
acknowledge that I
communicating,
had a baby. I
right.
literally had labor and delivery. They didn't acknowledge that, like that just happened to me, right? So, um, so I was like wrestling with, you know what? I'm gonna have to take a leave of absence. Like I
Yeah.
can't keep going on like this. I can't pretend like I didn't just give birth in the toilet, that I had labor and delivery and for 48 hours. Like, I just can't. And so I made the tough decision to take a leave of absence from work. And
Mhm.
so right now I'm in the middle of having my doctor fill out my paperwork. I've been seeing a therapist also specifically for pregnancy laws. So
Mhm.
I'm also having her fill out a paperwork. And so I literally have been crying since
Mhm.
February 11th.
Right.
Every day I'm
Mhm.
crying since February 11th.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, And then I talked to one of my friends, one of my very close friends, and he said, May, God wants me to share some stuff with you, some things with you. And one of the things that he shared was that God wanted me to meditate and focus on my purpose instead of my pain.
Mhm.
And so I had been posting on Facebook.
Right.
Um, I had been sharing it. I had been talking to a couple people, at work.
Mhm.
Somebody from work told me to stop talking about it because it makes me sad. So I need to stop talking about it at work. Somebody else told me to stop posting on Facebook. And then somebody else told me, these are just things that I remember, like to kind of, shut me up, slow me down, or, kind of have me heal like in my own way, I guess, that I'm
Yeah.
stuck in my trauma. I'm
Wow.
like stuck in my trauma. This just happened last month.
Right. Right.
So, it's just been a lot of insensitive things that's been said. I mean, we can go into that a little bit later, because this is real. Like, these are things that people say and they don't think about it, but it's not okay.
Right.
And especially me, being a social worker, a mental health professional, that I think sometimes people say things because they're uncomfortable with the
Mhm.
situation and they speak too much,
Mhm.
or that they just really want to try to make you feel better.
Right.
Like, let me see what I can do to make May feel better. And the truth is, there's not one thing in the world that anybody could say or do to
Mhm.
make someone, a grieving parent, feel better. Not one thing.
Sure.
Mhm.
And when my friend told me that to focus on my purpose
Mhm.
instead of my pain, it took me to the worst pain of my life. And it wasn't my sexual assault that happened 30 years, my 30-year history of sexual assault. It wasn't that.
Mhm.
It was this season, this moment, this time in my life right now is the most and deepest pain I've ever had in my
Mhm.
37 years of living.
Mhm.
And I decided, the idea came to me about how an injustice had been done to me. Like,
Mhm.
this is an injustice that has been done to me.
Sure.
And then I thought about, how about the
Mhm.
other of women, the other million women that this same injustice has been done to them? And how about the millions of women after me?
Yeah. Right.
Nothing's going to change. Like,
Mhm.
I'm just one person. And then that's when last Wednesday, so it would be exactly 7 days today, last Wednesday, I started a petition before going to church and change.com. And it's called Bereavement Time for
Mhm.
Pregnancy Loss. And so last Wednesday, I started it. My husband was the first supporter. Um, I was like, go on there and support me. He was my first supporter. It does stay in the list. Number one, Alirad. And so I'm thinking like, man, if I
Mhm.
get 100, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I know 100 people. So I'm
Yeah.
like, if I get 100 people, like, man, that's a success for me. So I was like, hey, I text my friends, like, hey, can you please fill out this petition? It'll only take literally
Mhm.
like 5 seconds. It's just your name, your first, last name, your email address, and, submit really. And they'll like take down your zip code, change it if it's wrong, whatever. And so
Mhm.
I sent like, text messages out to people, messengers. And so I was like, oh my God, I got 100. I was like, wow, I got 100, by the end of the night. So I was so excited. And then the next day I thought about, you know what? I think if we got 1,000 supporters, it'll really make like
Mm.
people like know that this is a really important topic for
Yeah.
women, for families, right? So I'm like, I said it, I spoke it out into the universe, like, hey, you guys, let's try to get 1,000. And I would message everyone every day. So change.org, like you can send updates every day or at once in every 24 hours, and it'll
Mhm.
actually email everyone of your
Mm.
support.
Wow.
And so I was like, hey, let's get 1,000. And I only had 100, but I was looking at 1,000. If everybody messaged 10 people, we'll get there. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'm asking for too much. Okay, if everybody messaged, then the next day I changed it up. Like, okay, if everybody just messaged 5 people, I was like, man,
Mm.
that still sounds like a lot. I'm like, okay, just message one person, okay? I was like, let's not get too ambitious. I was like, just email, text one person. I was like, it would really make a difference. And so it just blew my mind. The petition blew up. Like,
Mhm.
I have supporters from Canada, from Australia, the UK that signed this petition.
Mhm.
And by Sunday evening, we were at 1,000,
Wow.
1,000 supporters
Mm.
Awesome.
this petition. And I emailed my supporters like, hey, you guys, if I get 500, because that's what I was aiming for this weekend, 500. I was like,
Mhm.
if I get 500 supporters, I'm going to contact legislative offices. I'm going to contact my senator and my congressman. That was my promise.
Mhm.
And on Sunday night, Monday morning, I had 1,000 plus supporters. And so
Mm.
when I called Senator Duckworth, Tammy Duckworth, when I called Congressman Bobby Rush, their office, I told
Mhm.
them I have 1,000 supporters who believe this. This is my story and the story of millions of women. Like something has to change. Like this is not okay.
Mhm.
And you guys, some people call it the universe, coincidence. So we're going to just call it divine, God sent, right?
Mhm.
That there actually already is a bill
Oh.
at the White House
Wow.
Oh.
for what I am asking for. So
Wow.
there's a bill, well, in DC, not at the White House yet. There's a bill that in the Senate and the House of Representatives introduced the bill last year on July 20th, 2021, and it's called the Support Through Loss Act.
Mm.
Wow.
Support Through Loss Act. You can actually read this bill on congress.gov.
Mhm.
What you have to do is you actually have to type in um, the bill number. You have to type in the bill number and they'll tell you. And if you just, I'll find it for you guys all in a second.
Okay.
But so what that means is we're not starting at square one.
Right.
We're not
Mhm.
starting from scratch, right? From scratch is you have to bring it up to a politician. You have to say you care about this. You have to write a bill, right? I'm like, oh, thank God. Like literally, I think that's the hardest part,
Mhm.
writing that bill.
Sure.
So Senator Tammy Duckworth also experienced pregnancy loss.
Mhm.
And in vitro failures and different things. Because I called her office and I'm like, why? why is this important for her? I wanted to know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because she suffered the loss of pregnancies, of babies and stuff, unborn babies. And so I was like, wow, this is so amazing because there's already a bill. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, what we have to do is, this is the call to action, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to call all of us who's listening to this, right? It will take you 5 minutes or less. You have to call your congressperson, congressman, congresswoman in your district, and then you have to call your senator and let them know that you support this bill.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen is, I know I'm actually just learning as I go because I don't know anything about this. I'm a school social worker. So I'm like school social worker turned lobbyist, really. And so I'm learning as I go. But basically, if a lot of people are interested in it, a lot of people support it, a lot of people are calling their people, right? Their representatives, their senators, and saying, hey, this is a bill I support. I want you to support this bill. And
Mm-hmm.
because we are their constituents, they'll, write it down. They actually take like a whole log of it, like why people call, what bill they want us to support, what bill we want them to support, what bill we don't want them to support. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like a whole big thing. And the more people that call, the more people nationwide that are interested in this bill, that's how we can get it moved up faster. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's in committees already. So
Mm-hmm.
various committees are looking at it in the White House. Excuse me, looking at it at the Senate and also the House, and so it's already being looked at. But nobody really cares about it until they know we care about it, right?
Sure.
They
Sure.
do have supporters, but like not tons of supporters. And when
Right.
I say supporters, I mean like other people who support the bill, like other senators who support the bill, or other House representatives who support the bill, Congress people. And so there's supporters, but not loads of supporters. So that's kind of, why I'm here. I wanted to share my story and just share about how this is so important. And the bill actually calls for paid time off, for parents to actually get paid time off during this loss, whether it's pregnancy loss, like in vitro, like implantation loss, or whatever, adoption loss, surrogacy loss. So it is really wide,
Mm-hmm.
for types of pregnancy loss. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it.
Right.
This is exactly what I'm advocating for.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems amazing to me. That, um, and even if you go away from whether or not they view what the health or scientific aspect of it,
Right.
from an emotional standpoint, how can you not back your employee? I mean, we back our employees for some of the most frivolous things at times, but to
Mm-hmm.
not back them for something so
Oh, they'll give
devastating.
them days off if their dog passed away.
I mean, I'm my thing is that I see when we get our
Mm-hmm.
handbook, I see that if you smoke cigarettes, we're gonna get you help, and if you do this, we're gonna get you help, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that happen in a person's life. When my father died, I think they gave me 3 or 4 days bereavement, but they called me the day before I was supposed to come back to make sure I was coming back. So this is far more devastating than that. So um, for this not to be a law already is very unusual to me, considering the state of mental health in the United States. So yeah, you need to get the bill number so that we can spread that around and get people motivated to contact
Mm-hmm.
their congressman, senate, whoever that they need to contact to get this bill passed, or at least get it in front so that they can take a vote on it, instead of just kind of hanging by the wayside. There's a lot of bills that are put together but never reach the
Right.
appropriate vote because of whatever reasons. So therefore, yeah, get us the number so that we can get that out so that we can get that in front of the House for a vote.
Yeah, I have it. I have it with me. So,
Mhm.
all right, so two different bills, okay? The
Mm-hmm.
first one is through the Senate. So it's the capital letter S dot 2390. Okay, so S dot 2390. So this is the number you would call for your senator. You'll say, hey, my name is okay. Hey, my name is May Sangbersuth. I'm one of your constituents. That's very important that you say that because if you're not in their constituents, you're not in their voting thing, they don't care anything about you. So you have to make sure you're calling the right person. Say, hey, I'm May. I'm one of your constituents. I support the bill S.2390, the Support Through Loss Act. Okay, so that's the first person you can call, the senator. Then the second person you would call is your congressperson, your congressman, your congresswoman, right? And this is a different bill number because S stands for Senate and then HR stands for House of Representative. Okay, so this bill number is H dash R 4576. So this is the companion bill. This is what they call it. Like they're companions because it's the exact same bill. One is
Okay.
for the Senate and one is for the House. So this is Bill H dash R 4576. And this was introduced on the same day because the first one, with the Senate House, that was Senator Tammy Duckworth, and this one is from State Representative, House of Representative Ayanna Presley, and she's in Massachusetts.
Mm.
So the House introduced it from, it was a different state, but the same day they're collaborating. Companion bill, so it's S.2390 for the Senate House. The House of Representative, it's H-R 4576.
Mm.
So you have to call these individuals, let them know your name, that you're constituents, and that you support this bill.
Mm.
And the more of us that call, and what do they call it? The oily wheel, right?
Mhm.
The
Squeaky
squeaky
wheel.
wheel gets the oil. Thank you, Marcelo. You know what I was talking about. So we have to be that.
Yeah.
And I was sharing with Laura earlier, I said, because she was surprised too, like, hey, why isn't there bills? Why isn't there laws about this? Just like you, Marcelo. The truth of the matter is, I'm just going to be real. No one cares.
Right.
No one cares about this until it happens to you.
Yes, I agree.
No one cares. And see, the thing is, the social worker in me, see, I'm going to tell you guys something. This bill is not going to help me at all
Mhm.
because I'm in it right now.
Right.
I'm not getting paid, sick grievance days right now. Like, it's not going to help me or anybody before me or
Mhm.
anyone it's happening to right now. No, it's for all the future mothers,
Sure.
Mhm.
all
Sure.
the future parents, right? And see, the truth of the matter is, you don't know if that's going to be you or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody knows if it's
Mhm.
going to be them. And so when it happened to me, the worst and deepest pain of my life, like just like Marcella was saying, like I mean, I don't even know what to call it except I literally cried every day. Like I just stopped crying every day like
Mhm.
this week. On
Right.
Sunday was rough. Sunday was so rough. I cried my eyeballs out on Sunday. I was missing my baby so bad.
Mhm.
Like it was like I woke up with this warm little tingling in my stomach, right? Like in my womb. Like I felt like this warm, little warm thing. Like, I don't know, it was like it felt like a hug. If
Mhm.
I can share what it felt like this little hug from my empty womb.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, and my baby was like,
Mhm.
I'm here. and it was just like, I don't know, it was just so beautiful. And I woke up and I wrote this little poem, and then I went to church, and like as we're leaving,
Mhm.
I see my daughter, she sees me across the aisle, and she's like running frantically to me. I mean, like the minute she saw me, like she ran with all her might frantically to me. And it came to the thought came to my head, like, when I get to heaven, my little angel, I call her Angel. I'm like that my little angel, like once she sees me, that she'll just be like running frantic to me to give me like the biggest hug. And um, and I just wanna, just share, I think just like these words of expression. So I also like wrote another poem. It was actually my first poem. Like we had a little program for her and everything, like a homegoing service and everything for her. Like it was like with just a small group of like friends and family. And so if you saw the petition, you see like that little flower with like the dog and like the little hairband and like the wings. Um, that was her like flowers.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't have any pictures of her. It's like you grieve, you mourn, and it's like an empty casket. Like you don't have any pictures. And that's like, like a whole nother, like different story in itself. But the poem that I want to read is called Have You Ever Loved Someone You Have
Okay.
Never Seen? This to my little angel. Love, mommy. Okay. If I cry profoundly, don't stop me. Let me finish the poem. Someone stopped me in the middle of my poem, and it was so like, invalidating. If I cry, to my eyeballs, just let me finish until I say the last word. Okay. It says, have you ever loved someone you have never seen? I have. A little angel from heaven. I met you once in my dreams. You had a very sweet smile. I imagined you growing up, you and your big sister, playing together, running around together, going to the park together, and having fun together. But that will never happen now because you went back to heaven. I imagine you now in the arms of Jesus and with the other little angels that never got to meet their parents. I see you all playing together, running around together, going to the park together, and having fun together. I will never get to see that sweet smile of yours on earth, but I know I will see that sweet smile again when we meet in heaven. I think I think about you every day. One day I think about you and not cry anymore. Instead, I'm going to think about how much love you have brought to my life in the short moments I was your mommy on earth. You are loved, have always been loved, and always will be loved.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I can't fathom the pain that you are going through. They say that's the worst thing in the world is to lose a child. So my deepest regrets, and the only thing that I can say is that we were championing the cause, so that you know, God forbid something like this happens to other mothers, that they'll have the time to grieve without worrying about financial responsibility and things of that nature. Um, so yeah, we will definitely try to help in the only way we know how, which is to get the message out.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I had no idea you were going through that. And it's one of those things where many women go through, but they suffer in silence. And for that same reason. And it's probably because, oh, no one's going to care. It's just a miscarriage. It's normal. Like, or, it's not until it's formed that it's a person, right? And so that's why a lot of women, they suffer in silence. And although they have gone through the same thing that you have, and I commend you for being brave to coming here to share your story, because it takes a lot of courage. But I know that I'm sure there's many women that are watching it today or will be watching it either through the replay or whatnot, that have gone through miscarriage but have not, and some may have gone through it but just suffered in silence and didn't tell anybody, because some of the reason is some women might think, oh, they're going to shame my body. Oh, my body can't handle it. Oh, something's wrong with me. Like that sort of guilt, but labor is labor, and you're still going through like the same hormonal changes in your body when you're, going through the labor process. And I'm quite sure that you still also go through the same hormonal things, such as postpartum postpartum depression as well, because that is a chemical release from your body, and that's what causes, like, I'm not a doctor, but I can't imagine that the same thing would happen to someone who just went into labor, rather it's a developed baby or it's not a developed baby. It still was a baby in your body, and so it still had life at one point. And so many women, I think they're afraid to speak up, especially if, there's this, what do you call it? Like the stigma of, oh, don't tell anyone you're pregnant unless it's past 3 months, because you want to make sure that your body's able to handle a baby or whatever the case, or that it's a real baby, and it is a real baby, but those are the types of things that go around, that are talked about, that, oh, make sure that you don't tell anyone till after 3 months, because it might not become you might get a miscarriage or something, right? So that's one of the things that I'm glad that there's a bill out for it. And the more that people talk and express and not put so much of a stigma on miscarriages and shaming sometimes the women feel like they're going to get shamed because of miscarriages, and so just championing the fact that we should be supporting traumatic events like this, and that it should count as bereavement time, because when you are going through labor or when you have a miscarriage, it's still something there. So,
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that with us. I know that was tough to share, that part of your life, but I'm hoping that, someone that is listening will be inspired by it and will take action and bring more awareness to abortion and the things that are going on.
Right, to miscarriages, right?
Yeah.
I need to say this one last thing. Every time I come on, I got to give a shout out to God, Marcelo. You told me I was the first. I don't know if anyone shouted out God. But, I do want to give a shout out to God again, and really just like my close family my close friends, family who've tried to be supportive. And, I think the best thing that, people have done during this time is really not to say anything, but to just listen to me cry, to me vent, for me getting angry, asking questions and stuff, because it's like there are really no words that anyone can say, and back to my shout out to God, that I feel like during this whole time, this whole ordeal, and, even moving forward, like I have like really good days sometimes. And what I mean by that is like I'm not crying all day. Like I'm not like puffy eyed crying all day, but it definitely still is impacting me right now, in that, like, periodically I'll feel my uterus contracting to get smaller, like
Wow.
even right now, you know? And then something else that happens is that there's something called mind fog. So I literally, like, almost for like the past 3 weeks now, I feel like I'm on drugs or that
Mhm.
I'm high. And I'm not taking any gummies or anything. No gummies, no, no Vicodin, no, but like my mind is like foggy. It's like this
Mhm.
overcast in my mind that's like really, it's difficult for me to think straight. Like I'm like constantly like exhausted or fatigued, from my body trying to
Mhm.
recover, from this significant loss. And now back to the shout out to God, that during this whole ordeal, like I still trust God.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is not that God had let this happen or like God took my child or that he plucked my child from the garden. No, no, this wasn't God at all because, as believers, we know that all good and perfect thing comes from above. And anything that's not good and perfect comes from the enemy, and that Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. But the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And
Mhm.
another segment of, I guess, my purpose is really speaking that truth to life because so many people, including believers, feel like God stole their baby. God did this to them. And that's just a trick of the enemy. Like God, the most perfect and wonderful Father, the fathers of all fathers, would not give us stone instead of fish, like he would not do that.
Mhm.
And so I came to resolve with God didn't do this to me. The devil did this to me. And
Mhm.
I got a vision, and God's just been working with me like through visions and dreams. And I got a vision of being in the battlefield. So if you can just imagine with me like a spiritual battlefield, like back in Jesus's age, like horses and swords and breastplates, helmets, like all of that, right? Like in the spirit, I saw me and then I saw my daughter. And I call my child a daughter because I saw her in my dreams before I even knew I was pregnant. Someone special delivered her to me, and then said, she smiled and looked up. She was like little Eden's age now, maybe like one or two. And she said, Jesus is Lord. So when I refer to my child, I refer as she was my daughter. And so I saw this vision of me in the battlefield, my daughter in the battlefield, but not as a baby. Like her spirit is like an adult. And
Mhm.
then I see her being slain in the spirit, like someone kills her
Mhm.
in front of me in the spirit. And I run to her. Like, I know God is so amazing. I see all of this. And I run to her and I'm crying, I'm weeping, like, no, like this can't be happening. And then I think to myself and I say to the devil, once I can pick myself up from the ground, I'm going to come after you,
Mhm.
you and your territory. And then I'm going to kill all your little demons along the way. Like, you should have not messed with me because you messed with the wrong one. And
Mhm.
so I came to resolve with my little daughter, Angel, is the most precious life that the devil would take.
Mhm.
And so I'm in this battle against the devil, this battle against, mankind to not believe that once the egg and the sperm comes together, that is a human being.
Mhm.
I just, if we can't agree on that, then we can't really move forward, because then you're just thinking, I have a lump of cell in my body. I don't know about you, but I don't think I would be this distraught about a lump of cell. Like, no, that is my child. And the
Mhm.
Bible even says this, it is written that I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So God knew her. And God knew all of these little angel babies. That's what they call them, angel babies, baby unborn babies, that didn't make it to the world or passed away shortly after being born.
Mhm.
And I'm like, it's kind of like, I think I don't want to get too political. We've already got in that ring, like, please support the bill, go on there. But like, that it's really like the pro-lifer in me. Like, no, that is a child. Like, that is a human being. I don't regard the child that I lost, the clump of cell that came out of me, my baby's, little sac, as like just a clump of cell. Like, no, that was my child.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a long fight, but I'm ready. I'm prepared, and I just need, other people like you guys who it has not happened to be our supporters, right? To really be our champions of like, wow, I've never experienced that pain. Like, thank God,
Mhm.
but let me support you in your pain. Like,
Mhm.
let me empathize with you. Like,
Mhm.
I can't imagine. And Marcelo, when you said like you can't imagine, like when my friends had their pregnancy loss, and I said that exact same thing. Like,
Mhm.
wow, I can't even imagine how you feel. And I imagine the worst pain that it could be. Marcelo, that was a lie.
Mhm.
The worst pain that I thought I could imagine it would feel like to lose a child,
Mhm.
that was a lie.
Mhm.
And this is someone that I've never even seen,
Mhm.
so it's deep, y'all. It's deep. And I say this about what I'm going through. I'm like, it's deep, it's long, and it's wide. The
Mhm.
pain that I'm feeling and millions of women out there, it's deep, it's long, and it's wide. But I just thank God for
Mhm.
getting me started on my healing journey again, getting me started on my purpose, because like this is my life now. Like, I will not rest until it's this bill is signed into law, a federal law, and
Mhm.
until every state in the United States regards this as a law. Because
Mhm.
you have the overarching federal law, but then
Mhm.
every state is like its own little country. So you got to tap into each little country. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna rest until that happens. And so this is just my life now.
Mhm.
That picture that I had Laura put
Mhm.
as me, she's like, sis, can you get another shirt? Can you get another picture without the coat, without the seatbelt? I said no, because that's the picture when I went to work after I had labor and delivery and was
Mhm.
crying my eyes out before
Mhm.
going into work. Like, no, that's gonna be my epic picture. The strength and
Yeah.
courage of women, especially
So,
for Women's History Month. So,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, May, for coming on and sharing your story. And we'll continue to share and continue to fight the cause, for those who are going through it and will go through it in the future.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
love you, sweetheart.
Okay,
All
love
right.
you too. Okay, bye bye.
Yeah, that is
Wow.
such a heart wrenching story
Mhm.
that we heard there. And she's right. There's no way on God's green earth that I can imagine what that feels like. You
Mhm.
know, it just seems that it is more than a person can bear, and it is not
It's like
only
salt on the wound when your work can't give you those days
right.
off.
And I'm saying, no matter what your political thought process is, just from
Yeah,
a mental health standpoint,
exactly.
how can somebody do their job effectively with all of that on their mind?
Hmm.
It just it would make more sense to go and
And
try to get
physically
yourself
too.
together,
Physically.
yeah, and then try
Hmm.
to come back. But I
Hmm.
can't see anyone effectively doing any job
Exactly.
with so much weighing at them in such a short amount of time.
Right.
So our heart goes out to May. She's been not only a guest but a supporter of the show for a while.
Hmm.
You guys, please support that bill. You will see the bills on our website as well as our
Hmm.
social media outlets, so that you guys can. And it doesn't take much to just pick up a phone, let them know that you're in support of the bill, I mean, you can do that on your lunch break, you know. So please support such a worthwhile cause, men and women, because um, I would imagine that it affects men as well. But even on top of that, if it's affecting your wife to that degree, it's affecting you as well. So men and women, go and support the bill. Try to do what you can, and be mindful. You know, because you know, we kind of get caught up in our um, rat race of a life, and when others have problems, a lot of people don't sympathize and empathize with that unless it happens to them, and that's a direction that we have to turn away from. We're all in this together. Um, Pain is something that, you know, you deal with, but it's easier to deal with in numbers. It's easier to deal with when you know that people are out there and they care and they want to assist in correcting an injustice, which is no bereavement for miscarriages. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of went a little bit over. So, I would say please come back next Wednesday. We'll be here every Wednesday. Um, and once again, the war, you know, everybody, COVID is still out there. Please be kind to everyone. Try to help out who you can, and watch your six without a doubt.
Definitely. All right. See you next week.
Holla.